Going kayaking. I carry the two-person kayak down to the beach, and my girlfriend and I were getting in the kayak, and I'm gonna push it out. And this older guy comes jogging over to help me push the kayak out. And I get this feeling like, give me a break. I'm a strong guy. I just carried this thing down here, and I just push it out and jump in the kayak and give him a wave. And I said to Lisa, a guy's trying to help me push the kayak out. And she just said, oh, that's sweet. The exact same moment, same guy, two totally different responses. You know, the way our emotions react to situations, the feelings that decipher the emotions and the corresponding actions, our brains are programmed differently. I've spent close to 20 years studying why that happens. I trained at Harvard Medical School, and I'm a certified neuroscience coach. The reason her reaction was different than mine, the beliefs, patterns, and behaviors are at the core of the most valuable skill set today. The number one predictor of performance isn't IQ, it's emotional intelligence. Across 51 different job categories, research shown that people with high levels of emotional intelligence earn on average about $29,000 more annually. And the world is shifting. AI is taking over the thinking work, the analysis, the speed, the raw processing. What it can't touch is how well you understand yourself and the people around you. As machines take over everything else, this becomes the one edge that actually compounds. What a lot of people don't realize is what underlies that skill is one clear distinction, that there's a difference between emotions and feelings. They're not the same thing. Understanding this difference will really help you to put emotional intelligence to work. Today we're going to talk about three things. First, the difference between an emotion and a feeling. Second, the iceberg, how your behavior creates your reality. And third, how to actually use all this, how to understand what's happening underneath and how it lets you stop reacting to your reality and start building the one you want. Emotions versus feelings. So here's the difference. An emotion is what your nervous system does. It's automatic. It's something that happens, and before you can even think, your body responds. Your heart rate shifts, the tightening in your chest, that flush of heat, that's wiring, an automatic response. A feeling is what your mind does with it. It's the story you wrap around that sensation, the interpretation. Who does this guy think he is? The emotion is gone in a few seconds, and the feeling can run for hours, days, sometimes for years. Now, when that guy jogged over, the emotion was this flash of threat in my body. But the feeling, this guy thinks I can't handle it. Well, I ran that one for quite a while. Most people spend their whole lives blaming other people's behavior for something deep inside. That emotional response, that was not the problem. It's the story connected to it. Your behaviors and the outcomes are really just the tip of the iceberg. What's just below the surface that you can't see are your thoughts and feelings, the story I told myself about that man. As you go lower, it's your emotions and your beliefs. The feeling of threat underneath that is how my nervous system was conditioned to respond to that kind of situation. This might not be something you believe at the conscious level, like where you left your keys or what you did last night, but many beliefs are unconscious. They're conditioned over time, early in life. If I were to throw a ball at your face, you believe it will hurt. And you might believe you can catch it or you can duck. That's automatic. And then at the very bottom, like the biggest part, is your neurophysiology. This is all the wiring. A lot of what our autonomic nervous system does is it detects threat and safety and tries to keep us safe. And here's the paradox. Your emotions affect your feelings, which impact your behavior, which basically creates your reality. And it's the reality that becomes that stimuli that is triggering our emotions and kind of creating this loop. The whole thing is built below the waterline. It's that underlying programming that is generating our reality, essentially. So without really understanding how it works, we keep generating the same reality and wonder why nothing's changing. The bottom layer, it's not asking what's true. It's asking one question: am I safe? Is this a threat? When that guy jogged over, danger detector didn't register the kindness. It registered, I have to look a certain way in society to be accepted. I have to be able to handle this. I can't look not strong enough. And that fired off before my thinking brain really had any say in it. And that's how I had that reaction. You really can't will that. You can't just stop it, shut it off, because it's like a trigger. It's like someone who's pushing your buttons, right? And this is where the emotional intelligence clicks in. Mindfulness is a starting point, but it's a really broad concept. Harvard researchers came up with a framework to better understand this. They call it SART, which stands for self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-transcendence. Self-awareness is metacognition. It's recognizing your thoughts and feelings. So I can recognize when I'm feeling this threat detector go off. And by noticing it and naming it, and there's something really important about noticing and naming what you observe, getting really good at that. When Lisa said, oh, that's sweet, like part of me was, oh yeah, maybe that is. I felt that shift and I thought, why didn't I get that response? And that helped me to look a little deeper. It's the shift from feeling like I'm angry or what the heck to, hey, look at I'm feeling angry right now. And realizing that it's like you're watching a movie and you go from being in the movie to realizing you're watching the movie. And it's that gap right there. That is where all the freedom lies. And naming what you're feeling, it's not a mental trick. When you put words to an emotion, you light up the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, and you quiet the amygdala. It's kind of like if the fire alarm was going off and people run out of the building and suddenly someone said, oh, wait, it's just, I was burning some toast. Everything's fine. It's like everyone will, stop and shift and realize they're safe. So remember, naming is the first step towards changing. So the next part, the R, is self-regulation. Once you can see the pattern, you can start to work with it, and that's self-regulation. And this can be misleading. They use it at the surface level. You can use self-regulation, you can use different techniques, like you're at a red light and you're freaking out a little bit, and you go, oh wait, I'm freaking out. And you take some slow, deep breaths, and it's a kind of a self-regulation technique. And this can be really handy in like high stakes situations. You feel like you're getting wound up, like they're pushing all your buttons instead of either shutting down or escalating, getting into a conflict. You can use this type of a pause to break away and get back to your senses so that you can handle the situation in the best possible way. But the deeper work, instead of just calming the reaction down, is to get curious about it. You let it be there. You bring some compassion to the part of you that's reacting. It's kind of like if a little kid was getting hurt on the playground, you wouldn't just say, I'm gonna breathe until he stops freaking out. You're gonna say, oh, you're okay. You're not gonna say, oh, why were you running over there? You wanna calm that part down. Because a lot of times it's early on, you built up a wall just to protect you from something that felt dangerous. Like for me, maybe it was feeling vulnerable, feeling not self-sufficient or whatever. So I needed to be a tough guy, I needed to be independent, or it could be a problem. Carl Jung called this shadow work. What he basically said was that part that you walled off is the exile. And the whole point of this is not trying to get rid of it or to shut it down, but it's trying to help that part feel safe. And it's really, so that energy that goes into this kind of danger alarm now doesn't have to do that anymore. And it can be you get that back. It's like they call it integration. So that piece of you that was kind of locked away can come back home. These are a lot of words that sound funny, but it's using our thinking processes to work with neuroplasticity. The pattern gets weaker, less frequent, less intense, and it eventually dissolves. And then there's the T, the self-transcendence. It's not like you're becoming the Buddha or something. Self-transcendence is shutting off that part of you that is just always thinking about yourself and really being in the moment, focusing on other people. That running commentary that never shuts down. Like, how am I doing? Oh, what is that? Am I going to have a cold coming on? I get caught up on that. And it's almost like everyone is a little mirror. And I want to make sure that they're reflecting back the version of me that I think I am, because my unconscious mind wants them to have an accurate picture of me or something, or feels like it has to fix it. And the default mode network of your brain is that part of you that lights up when you're really worried about yourself. And they notice with people who suffer with deep anxiety, depression, this part of their brain is just totally fired up all the time. And it takes interventions, things like shock therapy or psychedelics, or for people to really shut that down and to move on, to feel something bigger than themselves, like some kind of awakening or a spiritual experience. A lot of times people who follow Eckhart Tolle and go to his conferences, it's not because they were so happy they decided they're going to seek this out. It's because there was a death or a scare or something that just kind of shook them so hard that they were ready to move on. They realized that all that stuff, all the hand-wringing and worrying was not important. So self-transcendence is really the ability to turn the volume down on the default mode network and to be here, to be present. They always say, never go visit someone or go to a party without bringing a gift. Well, I like to say that you are the gift. Just bring it. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can practice, make that shift. One practice of awe, where you look at a big tree or the night sky or a mountain or something incredible, a baby, a puppy, and take it in and really feel that energy and feel mental chatter drops away. The next way is through connection, like getting outside yourself and giving to someone else, just being curious. Imagine your thoughts could be heard, right? So if you ask someone how they're doing, what's going on, when you're talking to someone, just listen. Don't think about what you're gonna say. And it's shifting from the idea of what's in it for me to what do I have to offer. A few years ago, I was really struggling and went through some hard times, and then things were turning around. The business, things were clicking, I got a new car, and then my friends would ask, that must feel amazing, that must be great. And honestly, I was thinking, do people just automatically just feel stuff like that? Or, because, I wasn't really feeling it. And maybe it was because I was so focused on what I was trying to accomplish or whatever, I wasn't really taking time to feel anything. Around that time, I had a phone call. I was sitting in my car, and I just talked to this guy for like an hour. He was going through a really hard time, and I did a lot of listening and talked about some options. And by the end of it, he was feeling great and was so appreciative. Now, that feeling that I had after that phone call, if you asked me how I felt then, I would have said amazing. And I still remember this day, and I don't remember how it felt getting a new car or when the business thing. None of those things really stand out as much as that one conversation. Turn off the inner dialogue, and you're really there and present and focused on someone else. That is self-transcendence. Imagine I'm pushing that kayak out, and now I notice this flash of threat. This guy's running over to help me out, and instead of blowing him off and just pushing it out, I let him help, and I say thank you. And Lisa says, oh, that was sweet. And we both feel great about it. It's not dramatic, it's not like a big deal, but underneath this old pattern of this conflict pattern or threat response has lost its grip a little bit, and I'm getting better. So when they talk about emotional intelligence beating IQ, it's really understanding yourself, the self-awareness that also helps you to understand what other people are going through, when other people are challenging and difficult. To have compassion for what they're experiencing, to have compassion for what you are experiencing, and it helps you to perform better at every level. And that's just one component of the quality of your life. If you want to see where you stand right now, I have a life quality assessment. There is a link below. Now, before you go, there's one thing I want you to try. The next time someone pushes your buttons, gets you all riled up, try to catch it. It might not be in the moment. Maybe if you don't get it right there, think about it later on. Maybe use a journal and just look back and say, was my response accurate? Did it need to be that intense? I like to think about Like when was the first time you had a feeling like that? How often do you feel that way? I even try to name mine. I have the defender that gets all defensive, or the rejection response, or if I get a contempt signal, like feeling like I'm being judged. What I noticed over time is they feel a little different. Feeling judged is in the middle of my chest, whereas feeling rejected is kind of higher up, you know. And by naming these things, it helps us to really recognize the patterns. Like in internal family systems, IFS, they call them protectors and managers. But it's that ability to reference and recognize them really puts you into control and having self-awareness. Okay, here's a recap. Emotions and feelings are different things. Emotions automatic, below the surface, and the feeling is the story that you build on top of it. Real emotional intelligence isn't managing the visible, it's understanding the programming underneath it. And the more you do that, the better you get at that ability to recognize those feelings and emotions, the more you can start to self-regulate and dissolve the ones that don't serve you. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and most of all, I hope to see you in the next video. Remember, you're a gift. Stay present.